his idea. So yeah, I can definitely see. I believe that once Cody like rejoined, he probably pitched or something along those lines, or maybe he even said, I don't want to say, because he's been in AEW for 3 years, right? He doesn't want to just say, he doesn't want to. He's used to saying, using lingo at his own discretion and saying whatever he wants to say, pretty even if it's like a cuss word. Um, so yeah, he's allowed to say what he wants to say. And so he's been used to doing that for 3 years. So I think he probably showed back up at WWE and was like, "Look, Vince, it's going to be difficult for me to fall back in line, sports entertainment instead of wrestling and titles instead of belts." And then maybe there was a discussion after that where Vince was, "I got you," and they sort of hashed something out where it's part. So it's definitely intentional. I don't think he's slipping up on. He's like accidentally slipping up or slipping up like on purpose. I believe it's pre-planned, which is kind of fun. I think it's kind of fun, and I think it was fun and I like the Miz chastising him for it, and it's actually one of the. I feel like it's like it's very rare that we get these sort of fourth wall breaking sort of things that are like done well. I mean, I think of the pipe bomb, obviously, but I mean, it's not quite the same because it obviously is kind of pre-planned. But I do like that there's like a self-awareness there, right? Where WWE is almost poking fun at itself in a way,
Yeah, no, it's good. I think it does keep him a little bit outside of the bubble that is all the main guys on Raw in this case, or in the WWE roster. Like, he's got that. He's just a little different, right? And that's kind of a good thing because you want him. They're pushing him as a main guy. They've been using him in advertisements on Raw, kind of almost by himself exclusively, like he's the big draw on that show now. But they're keeping him slightly separate from everybody else, which I think is really smart because you sort of need that. What's the deal with Cody narrative in the background, right? So I like that. Veer Mahan defeated Dominic Mysterio. As far as I know, that match was originally supposed to be Rey Mysterio, but there was an issue, an illness, non-COVID related or a personal matter of some kind that Rey Mysterio had to attend to, so he was not on Raw this week. But Veer Mahan looked pretty dominant. What I like about this is that WWE is really going with the Veer Mahan beating the crap out of people after the bell sort of thing. I might have mentioned it on the last show, and I don't know if I did here, but I get this like Umaga feel from Veer Mahan, right? He's not as big and he's not as menacing looking as Umaga was, but he's kind of got the same. They're booking him in the same sort of style, right? He's pretty dominant in his matches, and he submits you, and then he beats on you afterwards, and he's just ruthless, right? Yeah. I didn't love the promo afterwards where he's like, "I will strike fear in every man." When they asked why he did that, it didn't make a lot of sense, but I still like the way that they're booking him. I remember us talking. I thought this was going to be potentially a disaster here because they held him off for like 6 months, and they're going to make this a joke. But actually, in 2 weeks now, he's looked pretty decent. So, considering all the time we waited to see this guy, not too bad.
I mean, it is.
I'll give you like 10, 15. Yeah, you got any thoughts on Veer?
I mean, I actually didn't know anything about the Rey Mysterio being sick thing, and I did think it was weird that he was like involved in. He was like wrestling Dominic, basically. I mean, if it's something, I mean, like, I'm intrigued to see where it goes. It's not like grabbing me in a way. I kind of find the like, here's a big guy. He's debuted, and now he's just squashing a bunch of people. Do you know what I mean? I kind of find I tired now, but you never know. They might throw a curveball in there somewhere, and it might get they might make it a little bit different. But as always, intrigued to see where it goes, even if where it goes isn't so.
Yeah, we'll see how long they can make that last, right? It works for some guys, like it didn't work for Omos terribly well, but it seems to be working okay for Veer, so we'll see what happens. Okay, I want to get your opinion on this one. So AJ Styles fights Damian Priest in a singles match, and the match ends in what we believe is a no contest. I don't think there was actually a result here. But what happens is, so Damian Priest throws AJ Styles outside of the ring. He takes a knee. The blue light from Edge's entrance comes on. Damian Priest sort of looks at the camera, looks down. I don't know what it is, a shadow, a shade, a head. I don't know what's in the way, but you can't really see Damian Priest's face all of a sudden. Then he looks up again, and he's got these big blue eyes. So something has overtaken Damian Priest, or he's popped some contact. I don't know exactly what they did there and why they did it, because they didn't explain it at all, and they didn't have an end to the match other than AJ Styles, at the end cutting a promo going, this is not how this is going to go, and blah, 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 blah. What'd you think of that? Like, or what are we looking at here? Are we looking at Edge's new stable has got some sort of cult-like spiritual ritual thing that they do? Or are they like the
Yeah.
Ministry of Darkness meets the Brood? Or is this just some sort of, I don't even know what to make of it. And we're going to probably find out a little bit more
I
tonight.
mean,
But
it's yeah. I mean, like it's a little bit goofy, you know. I would, if they're gonna do that, just have it be against someone, have it be against like a lesser wrestler than AJ Styles, and have him win, and then do that, right? And then build up to an AJ match at some other a little bit later or something, right?
yeah,
It's a
I
as
can see
always,
that.
it's like a cool concept. Like the Edge having his own stable is like a kind of cool concept. And something that I find like interesting. But again, I feel like they're just kind of laying it on a little bit too thick and adding too many elements where it's a little making it a little bit goofy when they don't really need to.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, if you're gonna make this about the faction, if you're gonna make this about Edge and Damian Priest and whatever it is that they're doing, I don't think you need AJ Styles yet. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
idea is that you will get to AJ Styles eventually. That the end result here is Edge versus AJ Styles, probably, or some version of that. You could do all of this with jobbers and squash guys and enhancement talent and things like that,
Mm.
or just other guys that don't get used very often. And you could have the Damian Priest storyline and the eyes and all. You don't necessarily need AJ for all that yet. So
Yeah.
I'm with you. I could see why you might want to separate those two ideas and then eventually have them clash after you've built a little bit of the background and the storyline or the
Mm.
whatever's going on with this Edge group, right? Seems like they're rushing it a little bit, but I wasn't expecting it like at all. I just sort of was thinking about this match. I'm thinking, hey, this is a pretty good match, Then all of a sudden it turns into that. So some people
Mm-hmm.
were a little bit surprised by it. Ezekiel is back on Raw again. Elias's
Mm-hmm.
younger brother. This time we've got him involved in a promo with Kevin Owens and Tommaso Ciampa,
Mm.
which I thought was very interesting because we had heard rumors or inklings that maybe Ciampa was going to be destined for this Edge faction. Speaking of
Mm.
that group, but he's not. Instead, he's in a comedy promo.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he was decent in it, but I'm a little surprised that that's where they're choosing to use him. And then Ciampa made other comments this week about how he's wrote an article in the Sportster for it that he's really easy to please creatively. Like he's not looking to do or stand out, or he's not like a Sami Zayn. Not that there's anything wrong with what Sami Zayn is doing, but Sami Zayn is very like, I want to have a little say in what I'm doing. I'm really interested in my own creative. I want to pitch my ideas. Ciampa's the opposite. He's like, yeah, whatever they give me, I'll do it, and I'll make the most of it. Clearly, this is not what most people expected, but he's in a comedy promo. Are you are you turning a little on this Ezekiel thing? Like, I'm actually, as strange as it is, somewhat fascinated by it. Like, I don't know where they're going, and I don't know
Yeah.
how you end this because you
Yeah.
clearly cannot have. This is not like Undertaker, right? You can't dress
Mm.
somebody like Elias.
Right.
So, what are you going to do here? Like, how
Yeah.
eventually do you end this? Is this just Ezekiel turning back into Elias? Is this somehow the two of them? Like, he's posting pictures on Instagram where he's photoshopping himself with his brother. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know where this is going. I'm
I
fascinated by it
I
though.
mean, I like the idea of everybody joke is that either everybody actually thinks that Ezekiel is Elias's brother, apart from Kevin Owens, or everybody is just ribbing Kevin Owens. So like,
Yeah.
I like that idea. I hope Kevin Owens I hope his involvement in this Ezekiel thing kind of peters out a little bit. Because I would have, my assumption was that after WrestleMania, maybe Owens would sort of take a few weeks off and then come back and be sort of gearing up for some sort of big push, you know. I mean, he main evented WrestleMania, but I mean some sort of reward for
How good he
Austin.
was, yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So yeah, I'd like something a little bit different for Kevin Owens, but I'm not completely put off by the Ezekiel thing. It's just a little bit of fun. It's not. I mean, I don't really think there was anything wrong with Elias. I kind of thought he was a good character, and there was a point when he was probably one of the most over people in the company. So yeah, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where I do love Kevin Owens. I mean, he's making what I will say for all three guys. I mean, I don't know how much you want to count Chomp in this, but all three, or at least the two of them, super invested in this. Like you could
Yeah,
tell just watching them, they're
committed to
into
the
it.
bit.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, absolutely, they're not just like, oh my god, why did they give us this garbage to do, and then just
Hmm.
going through the motions. They're in it. Like
Yeah.
Elias and Ezekiel are having fun with this. Kevin Owens is really being Kevin Owens, like ultimate 10th level Kevin Owens. Like it's making it work for me, and that's what
Yeah.
I really kind of find interesting about it. So who knows where this will go? And if
And
those
Kevin
guys are having
Owens,
some input on there creatively, it could get good.
yeah, and Kevin Owens is the same as Sami Zayn's the same, right? He's just everything he is given, he makes it great, and he seems to care about what he's doing, and yeah, even if it's comedy stuff, even if it's hokey stuff, they make it good, and yeah, because they're pros and they're great.
So we won't talk about this one. We'll just at least acknowledge it. Naomi defeated Liv Morgan by pinfall. Not too much to take away from that match. MVP explained why he turned on Bobby Lashley. So basically, he says, "You're nothing without me. You were squandering down marrying Lana," although he didn't talk about Lana by name. He was just basically shooting on how much Lashley wasn't getting anything done, and that MVP coming in and elevating him to the next level, making him the Almighty. And then he got no appreciation for it whatsoever. So he bails on Lashley and he joins Omos because Omos is now the present and the future. I liked it. I thought it was a pretty traditional, basic manager bails on one guy, goes to another type of promo. But I thought it worked. I thought Lashley did a half decent job. He's hit or miss for me. He can stumble through his words a little bit, but I thought his promo was pretty good. So very basic 101 heel manager kind of stuff, but it worked for me. Are you sold on the MVP Omos partnership?
Yeah, man, I think it makes sense. Honestly, I think Lashley had mostly outgrown the need for MVP, and Omos is in desperate need of a mouthpiece. So yeah,
Yeah, it'll be good. Austin Theory has let everyone know now he's just Theory. So he did a backstage interview where he said, "I talked to McMahon. This is the first time I've really ever seen them kind of acknowledge this, by the way, right? Like they've changed the names a lot and they've dropped some names, they've moved people around. It's not abnormal at all to just go by one name in WWE now, and that's what we're hearing is that Vince McMahon no longer wants anybody's real name attached to their character, which is why Raquel was changed, her last name was changed. Pete Dunne is now Butch. You've got all these guys moving around, right? Theory says, "Hey, I talked to McMahon. We've both determined that Austin doesn't need to be there anymore. So now I'm just Theory." So that one's interesting. And for the first time that I can recall, people are kind of into it. Like it's one of those things where they're like, yeah, this isn't going to be a big deal. Maybe because they've shown so much that changing the names doesn't really affect anybody. But it could be just Theory. It's kind of a decent name for him. So we'll see. Belair defeats Zelena Vega. Not much to take away from that one other than Belair's dominant again. Sonya Deville reveals herself as Belair's next opponent, though. So she has an open contract. She's talking up how Belair said she could beat anybody, gives her this thing, says, "I'm going to tell you who your opponent is in a minute," assuming that you are exactly what you say you are, which is willing to challenge anybody and take on any opponent. So Belair signs it, and then Sonya Deville attacks her from behind and signs it and says, "I'm your next opponent." So I didn't love this. I mean, it's interesting. I would have liked this if this was the first time we've seen Sonya Deville do this, right? Unfortunately, now we're on the third or fourth run of this. Like, she's attacked Naomi, she's attacked Ronda Rousey, she's attacked other people using her authority to abuse whatever power she's got. Yet, for some reason, she's never punished. She's not fired. She's not given a new role. She's not made to be a wrestler. Like, nothing's happening here. So for me, it's starting to get a little old. I like Sonya Deville a lot. I think she'd be a very strong in-ring talent. I thought she was really, when she had to leave for all those personal reasons, I thought she was fantastic. She was like at the top of her game. Yeah. This I'm not loving. Did you like this spin?
Yeah, here? I mean, I don't know why we're supposed to think that she's a threat, really. Do you know what I mean? Like she hasn't really had many matches over the last couple of years. Like I believe if they were to like actually build her up, she could be perceived as a legitimate threat because she has an actual like MMA background, etc. But she just hasn't really done anything in the ring recently to make us believe that she's like a legitimate threat to Bianca Belair, who is just one of the best athletes in the world. One of the most impressive sort of performers on the planet. So yeah, I mean, if it's giving Bianca something to do, I'm sure it's going to be a little. It's not going to be, it's going to be a squash whenever they do have that match. So I'm not super pumped for it or excited for it or anything like that. I think there are better opponents for Bianca for sure.
Yeah, I just don't love the wishy-washiness of the authority figures. When you've got him playing heel one week and babyface the next week, or you've got Anna Pierce acting like a bad guy, but then scolding Sonya Deville because she's acting out of line. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, there really needs to be some more consistency there. Every time I tune in, they're like a different thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I did misquote myself. It wasn't Orton versus Jay on Raw. It was RK Bro defeating Alpha Academy, and then Usos defeated the Street Profits in the main event, which was a decent tag match. Yeah, I really kind of like that one. But the same kind of thought applies here. Street Profits does the job to the Usos, kind of gets out of the way so this unification match can happen. at Backlash, and it's really about RK Bro and the Usos, and that the Usos came to Raw on the behest of Roman Reigns to challenge for the titles, and then we're going to learn that RK Bro is going to go to SmackDown on Friday and kind of do the same, although they're not challenging, they're accepting the challenge. So, decent tag match there. I don't know if you want to make any comments on that main event, but we can move right into SmackDown because it's basically a continuation.
Yeah, it leads in. Sure, yeah. So we lead into the opening of SmackDown for sure.
Yes. So RK Bro comes out to start the show, and they essentially are there to talk up how Usos went to Raw, so they're coming to SmackDown. Usos come out and kind of some back and forth about how great each one of their two tag teams are, and then Orton accepts the challenge on behalf of both of them. There's a little small of a kind of an attack on Riddle, so Riddle then wants to wrestle Jimmy, and that's going to be the main event on SmackDown. Decent main event. This was pretty much the high point of SmackDown, though. There was no Roman Reigns, no Brock Lesnar, I mean, there was Drew McIntyre, but he's kind of in his thing with Sami Zayn, so nothing major there. Did you find it? There was a lot of title action actually on SmackDown, but I still felt like the show was missing star power. Am I wrong there? Like, even though there was an Intercontinental Tag Team title, all these things were happening. The women's championships were like defended and showed up. Was I wrong? Am I wrong that it's missing the star power there?
Yeah, what happened was what happened with the women's tag? Was it a singles? Was it a singles match? Or am I thinking
it was a singles match between Naomi and Rhea Ripley.
That's right.
I think from what I've read, it was originally supposed to be Sasha Banks versus Ripley. Then all of a sudden that was changed like an hour before showtime.
Interesting.
And it became Naomi versus Rhea Ripley. Basically, it was a showcase for Rhea Ripley. She won. And kind of showed off her stuff there. So Sasha was on the outside. Liv Morgan was out the outside. I think there was something about Ripley missing Raw last week because maybe she was in COVID protocol or something like that.
Okay.
So she was on the show this week, and she got kind of a highlighted moment. But the women's title for SmackDown was also on the show because Charlotte did a promo with Drew Gulak, who is now trying out for an announcer role.
It's very jarring to see just him show back up again, and suddenly he's like a backstage interviewer. But we'll see where it goes.
The audition. Yeah, you never know, right, with these guys, because maybe they're into it, and maybe they're just like, oh my God, really? You don't know. If we were just a fly on the wall, it would be great in having those conversations to go, okay, well, maybe Gulak's kind of like, seriously, dude, whatever. Like, put me on TV. Like, give me something to do, right? And so the idea of him auditioning for this thing, he does 2 promos and then taps out very quickly to Charlotte Flair in a figure 8, saying I quit, to show that Charlotte can actually tap out not just, an enhancement female talent, but like somebody who legitimately knows submission wrestling, like Drew Gulak. He says and screams, I quit a bunch of times. It sort of works for me, right? Like, I don't want to say you have to have Charlotte tapping out a man for this to play against Ronda Rousey. I'm not suggesting that at all, but it did have that kind of like okay, he's a step up from what she could be doing this to, and he's a legit threat in that respect when it comes to mat wrestling and technical wrestling and things, and he quits like right away, right?
Yeah,
so she's seriously a threat, I guess. That's kind of the sell that you're going for here, right? So that sort of worked for me. I don't know. What'd you make of it? Are you?
I mean, it's a little bit. I mean, I think it's as long as Drew Gulak has something to do, that's good. I believe he probably has some. I'm not actually positive on this, but I think he's doing some sort of backstage stuff as well, right? I mean, he's got such a great wrestling. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's doing. I don't know for sure, but he's doing something like that, and he's definitely coaching a lot of people as well. He's got such a great wrestling mind. He's someone that you want to keep around, but if there's no, as much as I like him, it's very, very difficult for someone like Drew Gulak, as good as he is in the ring, bell to bell. It's very difficult for someone like that to be very, very successful in WWE. There's very few exceptions, right? Daniel Bryan is one. There's a couple more, but
yeah.
I mean, as long as he's doing something, and if he's happy, then good for him, man. But yeah, you're right. It made Charlotte look really strong.
Yeah, and it's tough because you get Gulak doing his PowerPoint presentations. That's like when he's the most over, right? And then you're gonna have people arguing like, this is super lame for a guy like Drew Gulak to be doing, right? So you can't win either way. Gulak does something, gets on TV, he's funny and popular, but it's the type of stuff you're thinking, oh, he can't possibly enjoy it. You never know, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of the one guy that he interviews, Madcap Moss, he has his first sort of babyface match on the show. Defeats Humberto. And Angel Garza, the hint here maybe that Los Lotharios might not be on the same page because Angel
Right.
kind of gives Humberto some flack for losing to a nobody, is what he called
Yeah.
him. So we're going to get Angel versus Madcap this coming Friday on
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown. Madcap as a babyface sort of works for me. They might have to change up his look, though. I don't know if you can keep running with the suspenders and the goofiness. Although he was
Yeah.
being comedic, right? He put the kiss cam between his butt and,
Yeah.
says, kiss my ass, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know. We'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, for sure.
Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn runs off again. So this is now the
Yeah.
second week in a row that Zayn has said he's not afraid of Drew McIntyre, but clearly is.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a supporter of them, repeating these things week after week to sort of build up the idea that Sami Zayn continues to run away, and then you get the anticipation of McIntyre finally catching him, or do you kind of go to the school of like you can't do this more than once, it's old?
Maybe they have a cage match or something. I don't know. That's traditionally where
Lumberjack
they go and people
match
keep
this
running around.
Friday
Yeah,
is
that's
what they're
right. Oh,
gonna
yes,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely despise. I hate lumberjack matches, but I don't mind them doing it for a second week in a row. I mean, I guess now that where Sammy's got nowhere to run, so I guess that's where they were going with it. So yeah.
Well, he could find a way. This
That's
is the
true.
thing
It's
about
possible.
lumberjack matches.
That's why
which
just do a cage match, not lumberjack.
I'm
Do
also
cage.
with you, right? Like I love lumberjack matches because the lumberjacks usually are the lamest group of people on the outside.
Right. Yeah.
But they're also half heel, half baby face, and typically Sami Zayn. Although I think the character that we're learning right now has no friends, so even the heels probably don't like him. He's probably not going to have much support, but maybe he weasels his way out of this by convincing someone to let him slip through the cracks or something. Like, you never know, right? That's the one thing you can say about a lumberjack match is it could go any direction, and that I suppose makes it slightly interesting. But I don't know how they do this real well. Ricochet gets a little bit of a push. He fights Jinder Mahal and pretty decisively wins.
Yeah.
So I will say that I like the idea that they're using Ricochet. They're having an Intercontinental title defense on the show. He wins. He's holding up the title. I don't know that Jinder Mahal does it, but I suppose if you do this a couple weeks in a row, 3-4 weeks, he's defending the title constantly, and you keep having him win. Looks good for him. I mean, Ricochet looks like $1 million almost every time he wrestles, right? So he's showing well by the defending the title. I just don't know if this is going to be a long-term thing. If they said, okay, you sat at WrestleMania, we appreciate you doing that. Let's give you a little bit of a push here. We don't have Roman, by the way. We don't know what we're doing with our heavyweight title, so let's do something with this Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
Or if they're setting this up for somebody else to come in and take it. What do you think's happening here?
Yeah, they got to be consistent with the mid-card titles. I want to see them defended a bit more often. I want to see some sort of prestige restored to them because they've been such an afterthought recently. I don't think the IC title has been defended on a pay-per-view in like over a year or something. So yeah, I think Ricochet's a good champ. He's a good wrestler. He's not the best on the mic, but he's charismatic. So I think he's a good guy to have in that spot right now. Yeah, I would like to see him defend every week for a few weeks. I don't think taking it off of the right core right now because I think that makes it more difficult to restore prestige to it if they keep flipping it back and forth. But yeah.
By the way, we've got a couple guys on YouTube here. Ozzy's with us. Ozzy's always with us. We appreciate it. It says Happy Easter. Happy Easter, Ozzy.
Hey, LZ.
As well. Devil James is on there. Says what's up, and we've got a few guys watching the show on YouTube with us right now, so we appreciate you guys tuning in. Final match here on SmackDown was Riddle versus Jimmy Uso. Riddle nails an RKO, kind of a reversal. Wasn't perfect, but it was pretty. And he gets that one for the 3 count, so Riddle kind of exacts a slight measure of revenge from the beginning of the show and closes it with RK Bro sort of holding the titles up. What do you figure? WrestleMania Backlash, what we know so far, Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair, Usos versus RK Bro for the unification title. We got Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes too. It's starting to come together, I guess. What do you think's going to happen with the unification titles? Do you think they're actually going to unify them?
Yeah, I mean, I believe it when I see it, but obviously I can see them actually like unifying them at least temporarily, and then maybe splitting them up again at somewhere down the line. I'd be surprised if the Usos. I really can't say. It's too hard to call right now.
There you go. Okay, so that was kind of Raw and SmackDown. A little bit of a tease towards WrestleMania Backlash. We should shuffle over to AEW's Battle of the Belts too, which also includes some Ring of Honor stuff. So I'll let you take control of this one because you watched the show in great detail.
And so I mean, second TV special, right? It was on a Saturday night. Neither of them have felt particularly important, despite having like title changes and stuff. Action has been solid, right? As is typically the case with AEW. So the opening match was TNT champion Scorpio Sky defending against the man that he won the title from, Sammy Guevara. This match was very, very good. I am very surprised that Sammy regained the title so soon, and that Sky's reign is now over and done with, and was basically just nothing. They
Third
seem
title,
to.
right? Third time
Sorry.
he's got it.
Yeah,
Sammy's
Sammy's a 3-time champion now. It's they kind of are cementing a heel turn. It's a little bit difficult for him because I mean, look, the AEW fans are absolutely repulsed by Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti, which because there is something about their vibe that is quite repugnant. And it's smart to actually turn them heel again, to like just turn them heel and make them heels, because they're just sort of naturally unlikable right now because they've got that new relationship energy that nobody likes. But yeah, but it's hard to turn heel on heels, which is what he did, right? He low blowed Sky, then hit him with a GTH and won the belt. But yeah, so he turned heel on a heel. Could have been done better, but I'm sure there'll be some more cementing of that turn somewhere down the line. Yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about the sort of flip-flopping title here?
Well, I'm with you. I think that this is about the heel turn. I'm not sure if AEW anticipated that Ty Conti and Sammy Guevara would get booed out of the building like they've been booed out of the building. And I think they probably felt the need to turn these two heel. And a really good way to do that is usually to have somebody, you didn't steal it, but have them win the title, right?
Yeah.
And run them as, an annoying couple who holds the belt and brags about it. I mean, they've already turned, I think even Cody said at one time, they posed, turned it into a sex toy almost, right, with one of their photos with the belt. So they were sort of disgracing the title that Cody had built so hard or worked so hard to build, kind of thing. Like, it has nothing to do with Cody, but my point being is that you have the belt, you can brag that you have the belt, you can act more like a heel because you got it for the third time. I think it all is connected, which is probably why they did it. I think the heel turn maybe was a little unexpected. AEW's like, oh man, I guess we got to do this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The fans just were not accepting these two.
Yeah, they pulled the trigger on it in a way that WWE sort of rarely does. So yeah, I guess that's good. Yeah,
that's my take on why they did it, because I'm with you. I think the Scorpio Sky run was too short.
Yeah, and then so next up we had a Ring of Honor match, and they did kind of change the presentation slightly here. Like there was different idents and lower thirds here. So to me, it seems like Tony Khan is trying to sort of rebuild this Ring of Honor brand by exposing it to a bigger audience, and then maybe we'll set it free of its own accord. Like I don't know if it's going to get its own TV show, but I think it's smart to sort of showcase some Ring of Honor talent on AEW programming. Yeah, Gresham retained the Ring of Honor title against Dalton Castle. It's great to see Dalton Castle back. He's been back for a few months now, but he has had some injury issues. Former Ring of Honor champion himself, very charismatic, very solid in the ring, very flamboyant. I think he's a star personally. Gresham's just like one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. Keeps winning me over. I wasn't super into him personality wise, but every time I watch him wrestle, he wins me over a little bit more. What do you think about a Ring of Honor title being defended on a?
Well, I certainly like the showcase. Like, I like the idea of putting them on. Was it TNT? It was TNT, right?
This one was on TNT, yeah.
TNT, yeah. So giving them the prime spot on that I like, right? Because you give the chance. Because I know you do, and I know a lot of fans that watch AEW do, but there's so many people who don't know who these two guys are.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So to give Dalton Castle an opportunity to show what he's all about on a major platform like this is not a bad thing. Gresham, like you said, is a fantastic wrestler. So for them to show that. That said, I am kind of curious because I saw the reactions of this match mixed on social media. Some people absolutely loved it, and then some people took every opportunity to make fun of some of this stuff, like the constant reversals out of the corner where they had it like on a video game mode where they figured out how not to get hit. And they're missing all the chops in the corner, or the million, whatever you call them, sunset rolls or whatever that they're doing. Where they're rolling around like I don't know, some sort of dog toy, right? Like I can see how fans would be like, really? Is this what we're
Yep.
watching here? But I can also see how other people are like, this is fantastic. It's so different. It's so weird.
Right. Yeah.
And in a great way. So I don't know where people will fall on this. Some think are
Hmm.
going to love it, and some people are
Hmm.
going to be like, this was weird. Like,
Yeah.
so I get both sides of it. I
Hmm.
don't really have much of an opinion either way. It is a little much sometimes when you're doing like 19 chops and every single one of them's missing because
Yeah. Yeah.
halfway through that you're kind of like, okay, come on, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. For sure.
I am also the same guy who when Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura are fighting for the first time on NXT and they're beating the crap out of each other, then all of a sudden they're standing face to face and just punching each other repeatedly. I love it, right?
Yeah. For
So
sure.
it's hard
Yeah.
for me to go, okay, well, I hate one and love the other because it's not fair. But
Hmm.
it does kind of, I can see how some fans are kind of like, eh. But I do like it. I certainly like the
Yeah.
platform that they got on the show. And I think it's
Yeah.
good for them to have those guys out in the mainstream a little.
Yeah, and we're excited to see what's gonna. We still don't really know what's gonna happen with Ring of Honor, but I'm excited to see where it goes, and I am very happy that the brand is continue to exist. I mean, look, there was a point where we didn't really know that that was going to happen, so I'm glad that it's sticking around, and it seems I hope that Tony Khan can rebuild it and turn it into something different. Like it shouldn't just be AEW, like AEW's feeder thing, or it could just be like its own thing, and I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. So yeah, the main event we had Thunder Rosa successfully retaining her AEW women's title against Nyla Rose. This match was solid. Rosa is, I think, a really worthy champion. I love watching her perform. I love watching her wrestle. I think she's really charismatic. Nyla is, I feel like she's fodder for. I feel like she's always used to as a like sort of measuring stick for champions and to yeah, and I feel like she's a very generous worker. I think she puts people over quite in a really solid way. And then, yeah, the match was good. So what do you think about Rose's title reign so far, Jim?
Well, I'll be honest, I didn't get the chance to watch this match, but from what I did
Hmm.
read, Nyla Rose looked pretty good. Like this was one
Yeah.
of her better matches.
Hmm.
Thunder Rose, I'm with you. I think she's a legitimate female champion on either brand. If she was in
Right.
WWE, she'd be a legit threat. If she was in
Oh,
AEW, or she is, I think she'd be a legit threat. To me, she and Britt Baker are the cream of the crop in that
right.
women's division.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that they've put her. I agree with you 100% on the Nyla Rose thing. She seems to be that, okay, if we need to show that this new champion that we've dubbed as worthy of holding the title is
Hmm.
really a good champion, they got to beat Nyla Rose. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
when you do that, then you're now, okay, we've got a decent champion here, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I'm with you on that one. I did not get to see the match, so I do intend to go back and watch it. But
Hmm.
I'm sold on Thunder Rosa, and she's
Yeah.
smart, right? She gets on and she does other stuff. She's on Busted Open Radio all the time. She's out there
Hmm.
promoting, and she's
Hmm.
been everywhere and done it. She's got a personality enough to try to help sell that title, just like Britt did. So
Yeah.
I think it's good. If you're going to move on from one and go to the other, I think Thunder was the right choice.
Yeah, she's absolutely a star and someone you can build a division around. She's got of a I guess she's got such a like positive, friendly sort of vibe, but she's also very convincing she's just very convincingly dangerous, I think.
In a way, kind
Um,
of like Asuka, right? She's fun to watch. Got that
yes,
little
absolutely,
kind of
yeah,
jovial, fun, but you wouldn't want to piss her off because she'll destroy
absolutely,
you, right?
yeah, yeah,
That's what Thunder Rose is to me in AEW. But even now, because Asuka's been off TV so long, Thunder is a more legitimate threat to me than
right.
Asuka is.
And then so that was Battle of the Belts, but on Wednesday's Dynamite, this was confirmed during Friday's Rampage, I believe. On Wednesday's Dynamite, we've got Dustin Rhodes versus CM Punk, and you can hook that into my veins, please.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah,
I mean, the outcome seems pretty obvious to me, but
yeah, for sure.
yeah, I don't know how you would not have Punk over here, but
Yeah.
Ronald Dustin can pull off some pretty solid matches when he wants to. So,
Oh yeah,
uh,
man. Yeah,
yeah,
he's still
that'll be
got it.
good.
He's still got it, and I feel like them two can work something out that's going to be. It might not be complete. It might not be like poetry, but I think it's going to be very, very enjoyable nonetheless. You know.
Do you think it was a coincidence that this match was put together around the time that Cody made a jump? Because both of these guys are very closely connected to Cody, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
Dustin being the brother, saying things about how he's hoping Cody does well, and then Cody sort of jumped to AEW is sort of reminiscent of Punk and the pipe bomb and the jump to AEW. Do you think this was a coincidence, or did
I'm
Tony
sure
Khan
it
do
was
this on
just
purpose as some sort of way to combat the whole
maybe a
momentum
little
that
bit of
Cody's
both,
building?
right? I think it was just good timing. I think it worked out, so they went with it. But yeah, there's definitely there was a sort of interesting element to it for
Very
sure.
loosely make the connection, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. Dynamite's been firing, and we talked a little bit about Tony Khan on the last show about his comments on Twitter. You were absolutely 100% right. We haven't heard a single peep since that tweet about the bots and all that other stuff. But yeah, it'll be good. WWE seems to be trending a little downwards in terms of like the big time. They just got through WrestleMania, right? So now they're sort of in a little bit of a lull. They're not throwing their A game at us right now. It's been entertaining, but it isn't like, oh my gosh, this is all the best stuff that we could be seeing like it would be as a build. AEW is starting to throw the good stuff. So maybe there's going to be a little bit of a swing of momentum here. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well,
man.
we'll cut her there. We won't go forever. We'll let people watch the shows themselves if they haven't already. They can check out Dynamite this week. They can go back and watch Battle of the Belts too if they haven't seen it. And hope you guys enjoy the matches, things like that. We'll watch Raw tonight. We'll have Talking Raw on Facebook live this evening. So if you want to join us on the Facebook page, you can do so right after Monday Night Raw tonight. Interact and talk a little bit. I know Ozzy and some of the guys on the channel right now will be there. So yeah, Norman, thanks, man. This was fun.
No worries, man. Yeah, episode 3. We're going to keep. Eventually, we might figure out a more regular sort of schedule, but it's going to be a little bit erratic for the time being. But that's all good. People keep listening. People keep watching. So no harm.
Yeah, it'll be like the little drops of the nuggets of greatness when you go to, like, oh yeah, they got one today. Oh man,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and then we'll make you miss it for a week and a half or 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Get one with you. We're assuming that people are enjoying the show. I hope that they are, but.
Yeah, let us know. I mean, let us know if you are. Don't let us know if you're not. We don't care.
Yeah, or what you'd like us to talk about, so that if we aren't giving you what you want, we can. Right?
That's absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Norm. Well, we'll cut her off there. Happy Easter weekend. Enjoy Monday and Raw tonight. I'm assuming that you'll probably be watching, and then.